We observe today not a victory of party, but a celebration of freedom, symbolizing an end as well as a beginning, signifying renewal as well as change.
All right, everybody. So I am still here at the Asian Pacific Islander Policy Summit in Sacramento, covering this great event for the Model Majority podcast, and I'm really excited for my next guest. His name is Key Lam. He is the reentry coordinator for the Asian Prisoner Support Committee. And Key, thank you so much for joining the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin, for inviting me here.
Absolutely. So, Key, I have a lot of questions about the work that you're doing. I think it's really amazing what you're doing, especially given where we are now in this time in our history. But before we do that, I want to hear about your personal story. So could you tell us a bit about where did you grow up, how did you grow up, and what led you to what you're doing today?
So, thanks, Kevin. I'm a refugee. I came from a refugee family. We came over here through Vietnam. It was when I was about 2 years old. We fled the country because the Communist Party was taking over and it was kicking us all out.
Right.
Either we conform or we get re-educated. So our family decided to flee the country. But in the process of fleeing, my mom witnessed her parents get murdered.
Oh wow.
So we were stuck in the South China Sea for 6 months before we was rescued by a fisherman. In order to be rescued, we had to give up everything we had of value. He took us to Hong Kong refugee camp where we stayed for 2 years before we got our visas to come to America.
Right.
Coming to America, we moved around a lot because, for one, there was a big culture shock for our family. We didn't understand the language, we didn't understand the policies, what was going on. So we often moved around, and most of the places we lived was very poor.
Right.
Because that's all we didn't have when we came to this country. We had nothing.
Yeah.
Except for the clothes on our back, basically.
Right.
And then so we ended up settling in San Francisco, California, where my parents worked very odd jobs, whatever they could do. dishwashing, sewing clothes, whatever they could do, fixing little trinkets, right?
Right. And where was this in America?
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And even I remember as a kid, I often got rocks thrown at me, spit on, soda cans. Even like to the point where some people even let their dogs and chase me.
Oh my
to bite
goodness!
Me. So I became good at track and field.
You were a star runner at your high school.
Star runner. In elementary school all the way up to high school, right? Because of that. So I laugh at it now. So it's always good to laugh at some of the pain in order to stop crying. So I basically started dropping out of school because I couldn't assimilate to the culture. We ended up moving to Richmond, California when I was like 15 years old.
Okay.
Got introduced into the gang lifestyle.
Oh my goodness.
Because for me, that was like I didn't want to get bullied again. And not only that, but I found that we had similar struggles. Our family were all refugees.
Yeah.
We were dealing with different nationality, oppression. So we joined together.
Yeah.
And we fought. And unfortunately, I got caught up. Made some bad choices in my life, and end up doing 23 years behind bars.
Oh my goodness.
First time ever getting into the system.
Right. So 23 years. Huh?
23 years.
Right.
Found out when I was in prison that. I went in when I was 17 years old, first time offense. Went in when I was in prison. They told me I had an immigration warrant. So I never knew my status. I always thought that I was a citizen here.
Right.
Because I didn't even remember getting on the plane, coming over here, and nothing.
Right.
And they told me I had immigration status. I'm like, what does that mean? And I asked my mom, and they brushed it under the table. Like, we don't talk about stuff like that.
Right.
It wasn't until I got found suit. Later on, I started. Pushing my parents to tell me more about how do we come here?
Yeah.
So they ended up telling me that we migrated over here because the whole story I told you about her parents getting murdered, and then my mom, I found out that the reason why I wasn't a citizen, even though my parents divorced when I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
My dad became a citizen when I was 12, but because my mom had full custody of me, I didn't get the same status.
Yeah.
Whereas my brother did. And so my mom didn't become a citizen until I was 25. So by that time, it was too late.
Right.
So as soon as I was found, the governor let me out. But before I even got out, I was handed over to ICE custody.
Wow.
Whereas now I'm under ICE supervision.
So at this very moment in time right now, you're under ICE supervision.
As well as under parole.
And what does that supervision entail? What does that mean exactly?
So at first I had to report every 6 months. Now I report once a year. And the reason why they lessened my my supervision because I gained a work permit.
Yeah.
And so with that work permit, I showed them that I'm contributing back to community.
Right.
But at any moment, the MOU between Vietnam and U.S. could change, and I could be picked back up.
That's right. Interesting. And in terms of the supervision, kind of your update, right? These yearly update, is it just to tell them, hey, I'm doing well, I'm not breaking laws, you don't have to worry about me, that kind of a thing?
Yeah. Basically, that's what I have to do to show them that I'm staying out of trouble, that I'm contributing back to community,
right? And
that I'm following everything they tell me to do.
And does that kind of need to happen just permanently, or like is there like
the only way for me to ever get off that
is
if I was ever given a pardon.
Got it.
Which is like almost like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Especially with my criminal conviction.
Right.
So even with somebody that has a misdemeanor, that is hard enough as itself.
Yeah.
But anybody with an aggravated felony, it's almost like finding gold.
Right. Wow. So this is something that you are basically going to be dealing with for at least the rest of your life unless something changes.
Yeah,
right?
Unless something changes.
Wow. Tell me more about your work now then as a reentry coordinator, right, for the Asian Prison Support Committee. First of all, what is this committee about? What is this organization?
So we're one of the only organization in the nation that works with formerly incarcerated APIs, Asian Pacific Islanders.
Right.
And in addition to that, our staff is predominantly formerly incarcerated APIs, where no other organization has the amount. We have 4 staff, and out of the 4, 3 of us are formerly incarcerated.
Gotcha.
And so one of the things that we do, like my job is, I either pick people up from either prison or immigration, and take them to either to the parole officer to do the ICE check-in, take them out there for their first meal, and most of the folks that's coming out, they was locked up as juveniles, and so just like they've been institutionalized for 20-something years, and coming out, dealing with this world is scary.
Yeah.
Like when I got out, I was scared.
Right.
I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know, in there, everything is so slow paces.
Yeah.
We still had like old school Mac, old school computers.
Those like round one with the color.
It's so old, right? And so coming out here, it's like one of the challenges was like learning how to take BART, like public transportation. Yeah. Like none of us went anywhere in 20-something years.
Right.
And anytime we ever went anywhere to any outside the prison, we were shackled.
Right.
From like wrist to feet to waist, and so we couldn't move nowhere. And then we was put in a van or a car where the windows were blocked off.
Right.
And so interaction with the community, with society, was almost none at all.
Right. And you probably didn't have a committee like this to help you out when you came out.
I didn't. Yeah. And so that's why I got into this work, because like who better to help the reentry population than someone that's been impacted by it.
Right. Interesting. And what is kind of your hope for this job? How long have you been doing it, first of all? And, how long do you plan on doing it?
I've been doing this work for about a year and a half.
A year and a half now.
And my goal is to not have a job.
Right.
Because my goal is that we don't have this problem.
Yeah.
Not to have this problem.
Exactly.
So it's not, not only to replace myself, but to have no one replace me. That's our goal. But for now, our other goal is actually to continue to support our community and lift up the voices of those who are voiceless, especially that's been impacted by criminalization.
Right.
Because a lot of folks in there, the family even shut them down.
Yeah.
Like, don't speak about your crime. Don't tell nobody where you're at.
Right.
And so something we're trying to do is lift up these voices and empower them. And part of it is like, we're not just like building, helping people heal, but we try and build up leadership.
Right.
Like positive role models for other people that's inside, and also once they come out here to be advocates for not just for the community, but also for themselves.
Right. So to wrap things up, you are here at this Asian Pacific Islander Policy Summit, right? And you just actually did a really wonderful workshop about ICE officials.
Yes.
What do you hope the outcome of either this summit to be, or just in terms of policy changes? What are some policy changes that would help people like you in your community?
I think one of the policy changes that would help would be the pardon panel.
Yeah.
Because right now they got a board panel, so a pardon panel will help with commutations, and people, so it streamline the whole process for anybody that's trying to get, a pardon or a commutation, because right now there's none.
Right.
And also part of that panel is to have somebody that's on the panel that's been impacted by it.
Got it.
Because we have so many policies, people on commissions and boards that are making rules for reentry population, but never been impacted by the population.
Interesting. Gotcha. Well, thank you, Keith, for taking the time to join us, and really thank you for everything that you're doing, for our people, and especially for communities that are very much marginalized in our society, to give them a voice.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate it. And then it's also like, let's break that minority myth.
That's right. That's why we call ourselves the Model Majority Podcast.
That's right.
That's right. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Kevin.